if there's not a sense of cultural base of education, the alignment's not going to work.
The gift that we have is that it's within us, and we can truly start the healing from the inside out.
To learn, sign me up. I don't care.
What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2018 Innovation Award winner, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And being part of that team, we've reached out directly and indirectly to over 400,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers around the world. And as always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. Broadcasting on Sunday, March 16th, finally halfway through March, and we are having spring-like weather today. It's like 15 degrees Celsius, which is around 60 degrees Fahrenheit out there. But there's still snow around. I'm not into this until the snow is gone and washed away. That is when we're looking for progression in the world. And like to say, as always, you on Sunday afternoons at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 p.m. Pacific, you're watching Black Canada Talking, which is a conversation where Black Canadians give their takes, POVs, and opinions on things going on local, municipal, provincial, federal, international. And I'm looking forward. This is a very special episode of Black Canada Talking. Before we get any further, I see there are people in the chat already. Now, if you are in my YouTube channel watching this live right now, I'd like to offer this to you. I'd like you to type in the comment section what city you are chiming in from, city and country. Love to do that and like to see where people are chiming in from today. And first person that does that, I got something special to show you. So tell us where you're chiming in from, wherever you are around the world, and we'd love to see what's going on. Myself, this weekend has been a bit of a relaxation weekend, not doing anything too crazy. I worked out for the first time in a while yesterday, and I'm feeling it a little bit. All right. So this is one of the things we like to show in regards to, all right, Toronto. All right. So what you got to do, Black Nerd Talks, just put Toronto, Canada. But I'm going to have a little bit of an engagement thing for you all to see where people are chiming in from today. So here we go. All right. So what city or country are you watching this live stream? So we got someone looking from the Toronto area. So when you type it in, your city, like Meg 2024 did, it shows up on the screen. So this weekend I've just been relaxing a little bit, had a number of conversations. Yesterday had Primetime Saturday with Aisha and Lala, and wow, did they go in on the Democratic Party in the United States. They went really in on what they were doing. All right, Black Nerd Talks, good. All right. Drea Rich, good afternoon from Toronto. So Drea Rich, do me a favor. If you can put in the comment section on YouTube, Toronto, that would be fantastic, because I just want to make sure that this thing's working properly, which I know it is, but I just like to see what's going on out there. And what's people been up to this weekend? I know in the Greater Toronto area, it's been March break time, so people have been somewhat relaxing. The traffic was a little less heavy than usual, so we're liking it. We're going to get right quick. We're going to go to a commercial. We don't have a lot of time with a very, very, very special guest today. Not going to tell you who she is till you come back. So stay around for the commercial right now. Black Men Can Talk, a show where Black Canadian men come together to have real and filtered conversations about life, culture, and community. Brothers, what is up?
A lot of kids just there just have no engagement whatsoever. They're literally just letting the days go by and they're not advancing what they need to know.
We really don't give enough credit to how much impact our unhealed trauma has on the future generation.
I realized what we were doing had a great impact within our community.
There you go. So in a few hours, I'll be hosting Black Men Can Talk, where We talk about different subjects from a Black Canadian male point of view. 8 p.m. Sundays, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And let's get some things out of the way before we get our special friend up to date. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. So subscribe and hit the notification. Subscribing is good. Notification just seals the deal. That means you get notified when new conversations are posted to be broadcast. Also, like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram to advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms that I'm a part of. Email me, vibe at the vibeshow.com. And also cannot forget Indie Soup TV, independent content creators platform based out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Dr. Tachi, who's been a longtime digital nomad with me for the number of years. Independent content creators platform, around 30 independent content creators and 25,000 YouTube subscribers in less than 10 months. And as I always say, believe it or not, only 4% of all YouTube channels in the world have over 10,000 subscribers. So that's quite a feat by Dr. Tachi. And a lot of the content that you see me doing is featured on that platform. All right, let's get to this. Special friend who I've known for a long time. And I was sitting back today and saying, wow, I don't know if I've interviewed this wonderful human being, lady, mother, in a long time. And my dad always told me when I was growing up that I don't care what you be in life, have manners and respect. And this is a lady who I put in that category, manners and respect. So before we do the introduction, a little background. Camille Dundas is the co-founder and editor-in-chief of the award-winning online magazine ByBlacks.com, Canada's number one black online magazine, not leading, number one. Done. Her professional background is in television news. She graduated from journalism program at Carleton University and spent a decade as a news producer in some of Canada's largest newsrooms, including CTV and CBC. She has led ByBlacks team to win four National Ethnic Media Awards and has been acknowledged by the former Prime Minister of Canada. Yes, former Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, for her advocacy work, and also named among the top 100 Black Canadian accomplished women in 2022. I'm going to say she should be, you know what? I'm going to maybe push one day. She needs to get an Order of Canada. Yeah, Order of Canada. Right? Okay, well, let's bring up to the platform. She giggles. Hello, Camille Dundas. How are you?
I am well, Dr. Vibe. Thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate you.
Oh, 100%. I have so much respect for you.
Thank you.
And if you are not following this lady, don't come back to my channel unless you're following her. Period. For those people who don't know about ByBlacks, can you give us a little background on the ByBlacks.com journey?
Wow. Yes. And my husband, Roger Dundas,
Yes,
a big fan of your show and has been on this show a couple times.
yes.
We started ByBlacks back in 2013. So we've been around quite a long time. And we started with the mission of covering Black Canadian awesomeness because from our vantage point, we saw so many amazing Black Canadian business owners, artists, entrepreneurs who were doing amazing things, but were not getting media coverage. And so our mission has always been to fill that gap. We have, I would say, expanded over the years from doing features and spotlights on businesses and events and so on, to digging more into community issues like this one we're going to talk about today.
Percent, and Camille's gonna share about it's a 3-part, and I told her before I got on here, Camille, I know your time is limited. You don't know how many questions I want to ask, but maybe there'll be a part 2. And we're going to be talking about when Black boys go missing. And what I'm going to do is just show everyone what the articles look like, so they have a vision. I'm also going to put in the comments section on all the platforms the links where you can read these stories. So this is part 1, when Black boys go missing, part 1. So bear with me, family, because I got to do this manually. It's all right, but I want to make sure it gets just due. Here is part 2. And then finally, we have part 3 coming up. And as I'm showing part 3, Cam, what was the journey writing this? How did it start? Where did the idea come from?
Yeah, it wasn't intended to be a series. It's manifested into that. I saw the story probably November, December 2024. There is a platform called African Diaspora News Channel. They did Emma Ansa, who I did an interview with actually this weekend. You'll see it on their channel next week. She did a video about the missing Black boys in Ontario. They have, I think, over 2 million subscribers, so it got a lot.
Okay, Camille is frozen for a second. Hopefully she will come back to us.
A lot of attention. And then, sorry.
No problem.
I'm here. Sorry.
Yeah, you're good. You're good now.
After I saw that video, then I saw Shanna McCullough from Roots Reggae Hub, and she has a large following as well. And people kept sending it to me. And at first I thought, we're a lean team here at ByBlacks. So I thought, I don't know if we have the resources to really cover this the way that it needs to be. And the story was changing a lot. It was a very dynamic story, put it that way. But when I saw all of the wild, I would say very wild theories in the comment section that was overpowering the conversation at the time, I said, we need to do something, because this is not helpful to our community for us to be in so much panic and fear and not know what is happening, and to be continuously perpetuating some very
Okay. Just having some technical difficulties on Camille's end, but we will work it out. Just want to hear some comments here. So Drea Rich says, I hope that Black people take the time to read the articles. They were well done. They provide some insight into the context for some of these missing Black boys. Another comment here we have, Drea Rich says, yes, Wild Theories is accurate. All right, good stuff. This is where I'm going to pull out another little thing here, another engagement here. All right, we're going to do this. Going to do this right now. And a little bit of and this is a short answer. You can, if you're on my YouTube channel right now, you can provide some feedback. So the question is, as it connects here, I will do something here. Let me just do this. Okay, let me just refresh. And hopefully we'll get Camille back in just a moment. So do not freak out. Do not freak out. Okay, so while we're doing that, I'm going to put up this in the... Okay, she is back. All right, we got you back.
Yes, sorry, not sure what's the last thing you heard.
No, that's a good question.
Yeah,
well, basically, you reached out to those 2 platforms and then you interviewed someone.
I was just seeing so much misinformation in the comments, and I realized that if this wasn't addressed, it would just not be helpful to our community, because it's having that fear and panic just keep being perpetuated without real answers. It doesn't help our community. So we wanted to make sure our priority was to get answers for people, but that wasn't easy.
Yeah, I can imagine. All right, so if you're watching this live on the Dr. Vibe Show YouTube channel, we have another poll going on right now. Are you concerned about missing Black boys and girls? So answer, either put yes or no or not sure in the comment section, and in real time we'll see results. So given the Black youth make a disproportionate percentage of missing persons in Toronto, what further research or data did you uncover that helps contextualize the sheer scale of this problem above the 5 cases?
Yes. So we focused for this series on these particular 5 boys who went missing around the same time. This was a story that generated a lot of conversation online if you were following the story, which went viral. But we found the staggering statistic that Black youth make up 70% of
How
all
much?
youth in Toronto, 70%. However, Toronto police also provide us with the statistic that the majority of them, almost 99%, are returned home.
Right.
So it's not to say they are unaccounted for, but as a parent, these numbers are frightening. I think what was also quite frightening for people is coming to find out that these particular group of boys, they were going missing from places like Whitby, like Pickering, Ajax, Brampton, Mississauga, quote unquote, middle class, nice homes. Not the type of neighborhoods that we generally see in news headlines, right? And so people are thinking, wait a minute, what is actually happening here? And so that's the rabbit hole we went down to figure out. I mean, I will emphasize here, every case is different. Every child's experience is different. These 5 particular boys, the common thread, while they didn't know each other, the common thread was that they were all found in a remote Northern Ontario town, such as Sarnia, Orillia, and Thunder Bay.
Wow. You
may know Thunder Bay as a known hub for drug trafficking.
Mm-hmm.
So when we start putting 2 and 2 together, okay, they were found in these known areas for drug trafficking. They were returned home safely, not physically harmed. At least one of them we know is facing drug charges. We start trying to figure out, okay, we start painting a picture of what exactly is happening. Now, it's very easy to jump to conclusions. And I saw a lot of these conclusions in the comments online. Oh, these kids know what they're doing. Oh, their parents know what they're doing. Oh, these kids are just selling drugs. And what I really want to emphasize for people listening is that 2 things can be true at the same time. While these boys found themselves in a criminal situation, committing crime, yes, they are also victims of human trafficking. A 12-year-old, a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old doesn't wake up one morning and decide to go and sell drugs in 15 hours away from where he lives.
100%.
Someone had to convince him over time, manipulate him over time, and someone had to transport him from where he lives to that place. Someone had to house him, feed him, clothe him for that period of time. What we found, Dr. Vibe, is a very sophisticated network that is preying on these boys. So it begins from the psychological manipulation. One of the police officers we spoke to likened it to the same manipulation that a young girl would go through who is groomed into sex trafficking. He told us about a scenario they call the Romeo scenario. Just like with a young girl, an older man may see her at the mall or befriend her through another friend and say, oh, you're so beautiful. Oh, let's hang out. Or just over time, very slowly, or on social media, online. We'll connect with them on social media, right? And then starts love bombing them, giving them presents and attention. And then they'll say, oh, either one of 2 things. They'll say, oh, you know what? This is a great way for us to make money for our future together. Or, you know what? Look at everything I've done for you. Now you owe me. You need to do this for me. With a boy, it's similar, but slightly different context. It'll be maybe someone you know from high school, like an older person that you know who's graduated high school, but you know them when they were there, or someone you met on the basketball court, or someone you met online through a video game or through a different social media platform. And they'll come around looking very flashy, having all the markers of success that a boy wants to aspire to. And they'll take you and your friends out to McDonald's. They'll be like, hey, let's go hang out. They'll buy food for everybody. And then they'll put some cash in everybody's hands. Oh, wow, we're all having a good time. This is great, right? I'm getting free food. I'm getting money. I'm hanging out. I'm one of the guys. I'm getting validation. And then they say, hey, whenever you all want to make some money, just let me know. And they start you off with something seemingly harmless, like a Facebook scam, selling fake iPhones, getting you comfortable and making you feel like, oh, this is harmless. No one's really getting hurt. And I can make money. There are children wanting to make money because they feel they need to help their parents at home with the bills, even though their parents haven't expressly told them that. But they look around and they feel like, you know what, I can help in this situation. There are children whose family are newcomers to Canada, and they're also not fitting in. They're living below the poverty line, or just under, or just about, sorry. There are also children who want for nothing really at home, from what we can see, but they want all the things that typical teenage boys want. And again, they are being convinced that this is harmless. There's one mother I spoke to who actually messaged me after the article went out. We spoke on the phone for an hour, and her son was just 13 when he got involved in this, as soon as he entered high school. So keep in mind, this is a key pivotal time when the child enters high school. And he says to her, Mom, they told me I can make $50,000. And when I make $50,000, I'm going to invest it in real estate. Then I won't have to do this anymore. Don't worry, Mom, I know what I'm doing. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, these people are scamming our kids, like getting them in, like using a real deep psychological tactic and scamming them. Some of the scenarios I've heard sound like a pyramid scheme, right? Convince the kid that they can make all this money, and then suddenly they'll get out of this lifestyle as if it's so easy. Mind you, they know that they are using these young children because they are disposable. They can discard them because they are youth. And the sentencing, of course, is not as harsh for youth. So they put them out there in these trap houses to sell drugs for them. And until they get caught, which is within a few weeks, most of them get caught. And then they just find another one and they just replace them. One cop I spoke to said it's a revolving door.
Wow. Just want to catch up. America Patton, good to see you from, I believe, California. Good to see you today. And also Black Nerd Talk says, I saw a lot of this in the UK Top Boy. Of the boys were very vulnerable demographic to the roadmen in the TV show. We don't talk about the vulnerability of these boys enough. 100%. Geez, there's so many things. So Detective Constable Martin Douglas highlighted the societal blind spot regarding missing boys. In your reporting process, did you observe instances of this bias and how the disappearances were perceived or handled by the public or authorities?
It was interesting because I found it surprising that the police sources I spoke to, they were very transparent with me about their own biases and societal bias against young boys. It's no stretch. It's no surprise that when we think of a victim of human trafficking, we think of girls. And we think of girls as inherently needing protection, and of boys as inherently the ones they need protection from. Not realizing that a 13-year-old boy and a 13-year-old girl, they both need protection. But we are very quick to criminalize that boy instead of looking at how he was lured and manipulated into this, because he's coming out of this situation with charges. Because yes, he did commit a crime, but that just overshadows everything. And that's why with this series, we're really trying to get behind that. We're trying to get behind the headline of, okay, oh my gosh, a 13, 14-year-old charged with drug trafficking. We see these on the ticker, right?
Yeah.
And we don't think what happened beyond that. What happened leading up to that? How does a 14-year-old find himself in that scenario? And that is the core, I think, for parents, for Black parents, for parents of Black children, this is the part we need to focus on.
Okay. So in regards to the parental silence that was stated by the parent, did you encounter any underlying factors contributing to their silence, such as mistrust of authorities or fear of social stigma within their communities?
All of the above. The majority of the parents would not speak to us. Out of the 5, 1 parent spoke to us on condition of anonymity, which we were happy to grant. And then we spoke to another father whose son was not in that group, but his son experienced the exact thing in 2022. And so he was able to help us understand, take us behind the scenes of how this happens. He was very willing to speak with us. And it's so interesting, after the article has come out, quite a number of people have messaged me with similar stories. So it was difficult getting people in the lead up, but that's how I know we're not done with this story, Dr. Vibe, because there is so much more. There is the fear. And the reason this is an important question is because many of us, as parents, as we observe this story, it's easy for us to be like, well, what happened to these boys? Why don't the parents do an interview? Where's the interviews with the boys? I've seen comments asking, where's the interviews with the boys? And I think, we got to take a step back for a minute. And I understand.
These are young boys.
Right.
Come on.
Exactly. There's no way I'm going to put a 12, 13-year-old on television to do an interview about anything. Now, it's easy for us to demand these type of answers because people have gotten so invested in the story, which I understand, because people shared the story. They were worried. People were talking about this. And so you want the answers. And I get the frustration that it's a common cycle where you see the story on the news and then you'll see, oh, the kid has been returned, and then it's just silence. And you're like, but what happened, right? I understand. And those are the questions we're trying to answer with this series. So there's the shame, of course, because they're embarrassed that, again, these are, from my research, these are 2-parent homes, both parents working. These are your average Black parents, okay? And they don't expect to be in this scenario. I'll put it that way, okay? And there's that shame. There's a fear that the child has because the child is not giving them any information, enough information to lead to who exactly convinced them to do this, because the child probably has been threatened, has already been deeply psychologically manipulated. And so they're afraid. There is also a whole other conversation, Dr. Vibe, about masculinity, about Black masculinity. And it's really encapsulated in the interview I had in part 3 with Dr. McCready. And he said, in one line, he encapsulated this for me. He said, no, I'm not surprised that these kids won't talk to their parents about what happened, because if you have to admit that you were trafficked, then your masculinity is compromised. And I have to admit, as a woman, I never thought about that until he said it to me.
Wow. America Patton says, likewise, Dr. Vibe, incredible episode today. I am so glad that I tuned in today. This conversation is extremely important. Pastor Eddie Jumba says, thank you both for this much needed conversation. I appreciate both of us, especially Camille and the team that worked on that. And again, if you are watching this on the YouTube channel, I'm encouraging you, if you can, I'm doing a little bit of a poll. So I'd love you to engage and get your thoughts on this subject. And all you have to do on the YouTube channel, if you're watching live, yes, no, or not sure. And the question is, are you concerned about missing Black boys and girls? So I'd love you to put something in. I don't know who you are answering because it's totally anonymous. So no worries. America Patton says, I hope that this episode could be aired again throughout the United States. In truth, this needs to be aired globally. Good stuff. I want to talk about considering the lack of media coverage as a factor. Do you believe that the initial lack of media attention potentially exasperated the situation or delayed the safe return of the boys in any way?
It's a tough one. I think that nobody, okay, first I'll say, as a former traditional media television news producer, I have seen firsthand the bias with which our community is treated, there is absolutely no one who can convince me otherwise that if 5, 13, 14-year-old little white girls with blonde hair and blue eyes went missing, that there wouldn't be a national uproar. If they went, especially if they went missing at the same time. That's just a fact. But the question you've asked me, do I think it delayed their return, is difficult to answer, because this is such a very nuanced, delicate situation, in the sense that, and somebody raised this in one of the comments, and I sat back and really had to sit with it, saying that the uproar, right, really was aiding the police in finding your children in order to arrest them.
Mm.
And I really had to sit back and think, is he saying that our advocacy is sort of aiding the police in arresting these children? And then it made me think about the parents I spoke to who left their home to go and find their child first, because they knew if the police find them first, they would be arrested.
Wow.
So it's complicated, right?
Yeah.
The father I interviewed in part 2, his story is the stuff of movies. And then the woman who calls me afterwards, she also jumped in her car, drove to Kingston.
Wow.
He was 13 years old. And she followed him on his iPhone.
Oh my goodness.
When the traffickers realized she knew where he was, they made him ditch that phone, got him a different phone, but he signed into his iCloud on that phone. And so she tracked him again. They brought him to an Indigenous reserve in Kingston to hide him.
Holy smokes.
Because of course it's more of a closed community.
Yes.
Not anyone can just roll up into an Indigenous reserve, right? She gets there. And of course, the people come out and they're like, what are you doing here? Like, you don't belong in this, reserve, etc. And she said, I'm looking for my child. And her son came out. And she said, when she came out and looked at him, he looked like he hadn't showered in 2 weeks.
Oh my goodness.
He looked completely disheveled. He looked disoriented. And she convinced him to come with her only when she said, look, I told the police I'm coming here and they are on their way. So if you don't come with me, you will be arrested. And that is the only way she was able to convince him to come home with her.
Wow. Some more comments. Meg 2024 says, I totally agree. This needs to be aired on different platforms. America Patton says, excuse me, in truth, this episode needs to be aired again globally. It will be. And he says he's tuning in from Kansas City, Kansas. Thank you so much. Joe Rich says, I was just going to say that police involvement is going to lead to their arrests if they are involved in criminal activity. They also say sometimes the youth will also keep quiet for fear of being arrested. Mm-hmm. And American Pat says, just sorry about the typo, Dr. Vibe, in my previous message, and thank you for making that correction. No problem. We're all family here. We're all good. Let me ask, Marcus's experience with the police suggests a complex relationship where they want to find children for arrest purposes. Can you explore the perspectives of law enforcement on this issue? What are the challenges they face in addressing these situations, particularly concerning youth involved in drug trafficking purposes across jurisdictions?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge that they face is the silence of the youth, because when the youth is found, they are debriefed by an officer which is, a comforting word for, in my opinion, interrogation, right? They are trying to either get information from that child or to turn that child into some kind of informant. And it's probably quite difficult for them to get information because the child is frightened. And so I urge anyone, if you find yourself in this scenario with your child, ensure that you are present when this debrief happens. I learned about this through interviewing Marcus. And when he got his son back, they said, oh, look, we want to interview your son, bring him in. And he said, I'm going to be there. This is not going to be, what you think it's going to be. I'm going to instruct him. If I don't want him to answer something, I'm going to tell him not to answer it. So he was very involved, very adamant about how his child was going to interact with police. But interestingly, he did turn to police immediately. even though he told me, he himself had his own run-ins with police when in his youth. He was arrested once in his youth. And so he had interacted with police and knew what his child was in for and didn't want to see his child go down the same path. Remember, this man drove 15 hours to find his son. And the police officer he worked with, I spoke to him, and he said, this man, in all my years of policing, is the only father, apart from one, that I have ever seen come to Thunder Bay to find their child.
What does that tell you?
All I can tell you, Ed, is that as a journalist, I had to try my best to remain neutral in these interviews and conversations.
Yep.
I know what people are thinking. I know people have questions. People will say, but why didn't you do this? But why didn't you do that? But how could you do this? But I could not press those questions to a parent who's trusting me with their story.
Yeah, 100%.
My goal is to allow you, the reader, to, for a few moments, live vicariously through this parent. For a few moments to walk in their shoes and to learn what you can from them to avoid you and your family getting into this scenario.
100%. Before we go any further, and unfortunately, Cam is not going to be with us that much longer. Hopefully she'll come back. Maybe it won't be like 3, 4, 5 years before she comes back. Want to share with everybody all the information where you can get a hold of ByBlacks. Also in the comment sections, whether you're watching this live or on the replay, all the information is there. Comment here from Drea Rich. She says, I want to add something that may be unpopular. In my work with youth involved in the criminal system, sometimes they are lured by a sense of belonging and difficult family dynamics.
Yeah, Drea, it's not unpopular at all. And section 3 of the series deals with this intimately. This is I'm glad you brought this up, because this is a key component that I want people to understand. And it's the reason we made it into a series, because we had one article and it was 3,000 words. And I said, listen, no one's going to sit and read all of this at once. and there's just too much to unpack here. So let's do it in 3 parts.
Yes.
I want you to picture a 13-year-old Black boy who has just entered high school. And as Dr. McCready pointed out, there are very narrow ways in which a Black boy finds value. One of those major ways is through sports.
Yeah.
They are valued. If you see a tall Black boy, your first instinct to ask the parents, is he in basketball?
Right. Right.
No, he's not. What? How can you waste that height? No, you got to put him in basketball. We do that to each other.
Yeah.
Right? And let's say if the child is not academically inclined, he doesn't fit, not athletically inclined. He doesn't fit the mold of what a Black boy should be. Maybe he's not aggressive. He's not sporty. He's not cool, right? Maybe he likes drawing. Maybe he likes writing poetry. Maybe he wants to do robotics. But at school, those expectations are not there for him. He's expected to be in this box right here. If he doesn't fit that box, Black boys have the distinct experience of being both simultaneously feared and ignored. Feared and ignored. So research shows us that teachers have a predetermined, an unfounded fear of these children. And so they tend not to engage with them if the child doesn't come forward and show enthusiasm. If the child sits at the back of the class, there are teachers who say they have a Black kid at the back of their class and they haven't spoken to him for the entire term. Why? Because they are afraid he will become violent or aggressive with them. And so there's disengagement. Or let's say like one of the children in the story, he was athletically inclined and then he didn't make the team. And so his sense of belonging, his sense of identity
value
is rattled now, right?
Yep.
And for a Black kid, how else am I valued? If I'm not the basketball star, and as I had written in the article, think about the athlete at school, right? Think back to your high school days. They are held on a pedestal. All the
Yep.
teachers are high-fiving them in the hallway. They're, hey, did you eat lunch today? If they don't have lunch, they're buying lunch for you. They're talking about your fitness. Because you are their prized possession, right?
100%.
Right. And now you don't have that. And so the child is disengaged. The teacher is making no inroads to try to engage them in different ways. And so now they are searching for somewhere to belong. And this makes Black children particularly vulnerable, because then someone comes along, an older guy, and says, hey, you'd be really good at this. I have something for you to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very easy for them to fall into that. And I'm going to say it again. These are children from good homes.
Yes.
Parent homes.
We could go them like middle class.
Homes.
Exactly.
Okay? So this is a wake-up call for Black parents. Are you speaking to your son with love and care? Are you creating a space for them where they can fall into you? Or are you telling them, don't let that bother you. Don't cry. Just keep your head down and do your work and don't worry about them. It's okay. You'll get it, right? Are we expecting them to have it all figured out and to be able to withstand all of these emotional and psychological things they are going through? They're being called the N-word. They're being pressured to let other kids white kids say the N-word. They are being called weed head by their teacher, by other students. They are more likely being kicked out of class for a simple altercation that may happen in the schoolyard, because the teacher is more likely to call the police. Whereas with two white boys are fighting, and it's boys will be boys. But a Black child now starts lashing out because he's ignored, he's feared, he's on the margins now, and he starts acting out. And we're very likely to get police involved now. He has an assault record. And then he starts to think, well, what's the point in even trying? When this opportunity comes along, when teachers are making him feel like you are not going to amount to anything, and he sees an opportunity to make money, won't he take it?
Of course. Who wouldn't? Right? Especially these days, right? Especially these days. We're coming up on the end of time, so I'm going to do.
I can say if there's interest, if people have.
Oh, yeah, no, there is, and I have a few more questions. So Eddie Jumba says, "Yes, I'm very concerned, and my answer doesn't need to be anonymous. Not on an important matter like this." America Patton, he meant to say, I don't know how she became Dr. Dundas, but she says, Dr. Dundas, would you please take a moment to discuss why quality mentoring programs are needed in every school in order to save more Black boys?
Yes. Where my mind goes to first is that mother that I spoke to after the article came out. Her child's father is not around, but she said to me, I come from a very big family. I have lots of brothers and uncles, and I have not been quiet about needing help. And they haven't shown up. They don't want to get involved. And I want us to interrogate, how did we get here as Black families? Mm-hmm. Most of us came from communal traditions, okay? How did we get from that? How did we get from, I'm going to call your mother if I see you on the road, right? How did we get from that to, I don't get involved, right? So within our families, within our blocks, right? Before we start thinking about, external mentorship programs, I want us to think in our backyards first.
I want to interrupt you on that because there's something I want to ask you that you and Tennille discussed the need to create a village for Black youth in Canada. What are some of the key differences between what you were just talking about, the traditional village concept, and the kind of support network that needs to be intentionally built here? What are some of the practical steps individuals, families, and communities can take to actively create this village?
Yeah. Number one, you need to evaluate your friendship circle. You need to evaluate your own family members. One of the key risk factors that one of the officers I spoke to pointed out was that a child who has a family member who is involved in crime is more likely to be lured into this. So you have a brother, we all got one family member that's doing shady stuff, and we like to make excuses for them sometimes. We have to be intentional about who we are allowing around our children, number one. Okay? When I say interrogate your friend circle, look at the quality of who is around you, because that's who's going to be around your child. If you are not getting the community support from your school that your child needs, for example, our kids, there are majority around white kids at school, and okay, that's their reality. But I want them to understand their Black heritage, their Caribbean heritage. And so I enrolled them in the Durham Afrocentric after school program on Saturdays. In fact, I just emailed them asking, hey, what happened to this program? Because it seemed like it ended last year. And they've told me they are working on bringing it back for 2026. So it's important to enroll your kids in any of these types of enrichment programs that allow them to be fed on their own culture and community. More importantly, though, we have to show up at schools. I remember when our son entered kindergarten, and my husband laughed at me because at first he didn't understand why I was doing this. We were going to the what's it called? The orientation, right? And I put on a full face of makeup and like my work clothes, okay? And he goes, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's just an orientation. I'm like, you stay there. I had to explain to him why I can't, like Jenny, Sarah, whoever, I can't show up in a scrunchie in my hair and jogging pants. I can't do it because I have to visually indicate to them that this child comes from a good home with parents who are involved, with parents who will push back against unfair treatment, so that he doesn't enter school with a stereotype. These are the type of things Black parents have to do. Mm-hmm. We had the first couple of years of his school life, I volunteered on everything. I was on the parent-teacher school committee. I was on the lunch committee, handing out lunch to the kids. I was everything. I was showing up as much as I could because I needed them to see where this child came from. White parents don't have to worry about that. They probably don't think about that. They send their kid to school, they're done with it. They hope for the best. But I am preparing for the inevitable that my child at some point will be treated unfairly because he's Black.
Yeah. 100%.
I have to prepare him and I have to prepare us to soften the blow as much as I can.
100%. Frequency Event Promotion says, greetings and salutations. Good to have you here, Frequency Event Promotions. And also says, hi, Dr. Vibe and Camille Dundas. I'm going to try another audio engagement thing if you are watching on our YouTube channel. Oh, people are responding. This is what I wanted. Thank you. Asking, short answers. What do you think can be done in regards to missing Black boys and girls? Oh, look at this. Oh, the answers are coming in. I love it. I love it. And says, Camille is speaking truth. Black parents, caregivers need to be present in the educational experiences of their children. It shows Black children and youth that they matter. I love that last part, that they matter. Love that. Love that. Also want to ask, Constable Martin Douglas describes specific ways older men manipulate Black youth. Are there other common or emerging tactics that parents and educators should be aware of?
Yeah.
Like what type of proactive education can help young people identify these things?
One thing he told me that I hadn't heard about was, he said what they're seeing as of late is these guys will come into the community with something called Roman candles. I didn't even know what that was. I had to go and Google it.
What?
A Roman candle is a type of firework. and they come with a box of these fireworks and they give them out to the kids in the neighborhood. And they say, hey, go have fun, make teams and do a little war. So the kids are shooting each other with the fireworks. And their goal isn't to just let the kids have fun. They sit back and look out for the kid who has the tenacity to go up to his friend in close quarters and shoot his friend with the firework. And they target that child because they say, oh, okay, that child's, has some guts, basically, is what they're looking for. A child who will take a bit of a risk and who they think may be able to cross the line to commit some type of violence. Wow. That one, I had never heard of that before.
Wow.
I also had not heard about the traffickers buying out a whole ice cream truck, and the ice cream truck rolls into the neighborhood.
No, don't even. No, you're playing me.
Yeah, and so the guy is giving out free ice cream to all the kids, and it's a show of look what you can aspire to. Look at me, like I can afford to do this for everybody. Look at what I'm wearing, right? It's like they're not saying this, but they're showing this, right? Showing the kid that, hey, you can take your mom out for dinner. You can buy your mom new shoes. You can buy your mom that dress. Like, look at all the things that you'll be able to do. You're your own little CEO. And so these are the kind of indirect ways of manipulation. I wish we were able to know more from the children. But of course, they're so guarded. What the little we found out from the mother who spoke to us, she said that the child told her they didn't physically restrain him from leaving, but they convinced him to stay. I wish we knew the details of how they convinced him. All she knows is that her child is not the same child. He is angry all of the time. He is he's no longer he's very inward now, right? Doesn't speak much. And I don't want to jump to conclusions, but those are telltale signs for me of experiencing some type of trauma. As I said, think about this. Someone has driven them 15 hours. They are staying in a woman's apartment who they don't know. We have no idea who's coming in and out of those apartments. These kids are sleeping there.
Jeez.
Someone else is bringing them clothes. Someone else is bringing them food. I want you to think of all the interaction points where there's an opportunity for them to be abused in some way. We truly have no idea what really has happened to those children. And I shudder to think, especially when that mother tells me how she's seen her child come out of that trailer and he looked completely disoriented and disheveled. He hadn't showered. I shudder to think what has really happened to them out there.
Wow. Well, we'll shut it down pretty soon because you've given us extra time and we appreciate that. I just want to ask, the report indicates that newcomer Black youth may face specific mental health challenges, and Black youth are more likely to enter mental health systems through emergency departments. What are some specific mental health supports or interventions that are particularly needed for newcomer Black youth? You know, what systemic changes are needed to ensure Black youth receive timely and appropriate mental health care instead of being directed towards the criminal justice system?
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate that children whose parents immigrated here under some kind of, because of some type of conflict or came here as refugees. Think about what they are going through, where they came from. They're in Canada now, but in their minds, these things aren't just going away. They're carrying these things with them. Think about the cultural differences that happen between a set of parents whose English may not be their first language. And so they cannot participate fully in the child's educational experience. Many times the child is saddled with the responsibility of interpreting everything for their parents. You know how many kids are working as interpreters in their home? It's a whole job that they take on. Wherever they go, whatever system they interact with, the parent looks at the child. What are they saying? Explain. And if you have a child, think about all of the forms you fill out, all of the information that is thrown at you every single day from the school, via email, via text, via the papers coming home, and you can't understand any of that. That child is essentially navigating school on their own. Their parent is there, but the parent cannot participate. And so is it any wonder that they're facing mental health challenges just through that alone, having the burden of navigating yourself through elementary school, through high school? And then you look in your school for someone to guide you, to help you, and they're afraid of you? They're afraid of you because of how you look. It's no surprise to me that these kids are facing mental health challenges. Now, even let's say we take that part out. Let's say their parents are born here or they're born here. There are the usual, cultural divides between parents and children. We didn't even touch on, because that was a whole other thread, on the children from queer communities who are clashing with their parents and end up being lured by these people. There are so many facets to this, Dr. Vibe. I do believe that we need Black specific mental health interventions in schools. We need system navigators that focus on this, that can look out, that can see the signs of a child who is going through a mental break. The anger that they're displaying is just perceived as criminality by most teachers, but a Black professional should be able to identify these factors as indicators that a child is on their way to having a mental break and intervene beforehand.
Final conversation piece. We as journalists, we're taught not to get emotionally involved in what we cover. And you're a wonderful mother with two wonderful teenage Black children who could be in this situation. How challenging was there any emotional impact at all for you during and post?
As soon as you asked me that, I started to think of my child, right? I took 3 months to write this. 3 months. There were so many times when I had to put it down and come back to it. Because I know that although, Roger and I think of ourselves as good parents, I am not naive to think that our bubble that we've created is immune. It's not. It really, truly can be any child. You can take your eye off the ball for any period of time, thinking, yeah, my kid is okay. You cannot take your eye off the ball. It was just listening to the parent stories. I had to take sometimes up to 48 hours of just downtime, just absorbing their stories. And then, of course, I wasn't prepared for the onslaught of messages after the article was published.
Remember, Camille's not an expert, family.
I'm a journalist, so I'm an expert in telling stories.
Yeah.
And I think we succeeded at telling an important one. Myself and Shalene, who also helped with this series. Yeah. But it was impossible to go through this process without becoming emotionally involved. It was impossible. And mainly because, Dr. Vibe, what hurts me the most is, as Tennille, one of Tennille's quotes, they said, Black boys deserve to know that they can just be boys. They deserve love. And I know how difficult it is for some of us, because of our own trauma, how difficult it is for us to create a soft place emotionally with our boys. For some of us, it's easy to do with girls. It is more difficult for some of us with boys because we have our own trauma. And I want to acknowledge that. But I want you, if that is where you are, I want you to start by acknowledging the impacts of your own trauma on your parenting and begin to dismantle them.
We'll leave it there. I have a feeling you're going to be coming back and continuing this journey for all of us. America Patton says, during my early years teaching history at Washington High School in Kansas, we started a male mentoring program where we took boys to Chicago, Illinois to gather together for a meeting of their minds. Several male mentoring programs throughout the country were present. He says the following year, mentoring programs gathered together at Washington. At Kansas, Casey. Yeah, it's Casey, this one here. All right. The young men encourage each other through relevant conversations about manhood. And here's a question for you. How can we bring young men from Canada, America to collaborate with courageous young men through service learning? Touch with me outside of this one. I definitely, there's organizations here, and I know there's in the States that we could do something because it is needed. And he also asked, do you think this will help close the academic achievement gap?
I don't know if it will. I'm sure it helps, but I want Black men to step up on this, Dr. Vibe. So I love to see these comments. So press your friends, press your brothers, press your colleagues. If they are armchair critiquing this scenario and saying, oh, well, it's the parents. What are you doing?
It all starts at home.
Starts at home. What are you doing?
Yep. Starts at home.
Are you opening your home to your child's friends? Are you being that parent on the block where all of your child's group of friends feel comfortable hanging out and talking? Are you really listening to them? What are you doing? You don't have to be starting a formal, mentorship program to be a mentor.
Starts at home.
It does.
And even if you're walking on the street, just checking in on a young man, saying hello, because you don't know what's going on underneath the cover. And that little thing can make a difference. All right. Here are, just on the screen, Where Black Boys Go Missing Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. If you're watching this live or in the replay, the links are in your comment section. And just as important, check out ByBlacks.com. All that content information is there. Camille, this is emotional for me a little bit because I know you're loving children. And the village, we talk about it, but we've got to act on it. We have to act on it. See any more? I will leave it at that. As always, love to your family. And I will say this publicly to people. These are my two besties, Roger and Camille. If they call me at 2:00 in the morning, I'm asking, where do you need me? I'm not asking why you're calling me, where we need. So Camille, thank you so much. As always, appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone watching and paying attention. We appreciate it.
And we'll keep us updated on this. And you have space anytime you want to update on this. And I will make sure that I'm actually going to reach out to Dr. Alicia Watkins on this to see if she would like to have you on, because she is very passionate about this stuff. I'm going to push to have you on her platform so it gets coverage in the US, proper coverage.
Thank you.
God bless. Take care. Bye-bye. All right, family. Wow. That was a lot in a good way. America Patton says, thank you, Dr. Vibe. Drea Rich says, great conversation. Thank you, Camille. America Patton says, I appreciate your wisdom and knowledge, Mrs. Dundas. 100%. Okay, I'm going to do one more audience engagement thing before we leave today. So if you are watching this on YouTube, if you say did you enjoy today's conversation? Yes, no, not sure. So I have to do on YouTube, if you're watching this live right now, yes, enter. No, enter. Not sure, enter. All right, there we go. There we go. People are voting now in real time. 100%. Love it. Okay. So a few last things before we call it a day. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Please follow the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, YouTube, and Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram to show your business, product, or service, or advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms that we are on. Share. Contact me, dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. And also, you can watch replays of this epic conversation called Black Canada Talking on the Dr. Vibe Show, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and also the Dr. Vibe Show on the drvibeshow.com. All right, so everyone's saying yes, saying they enjoyed this conversation today. I love that. Thank you so much. And you will be getting to see more and more of this on the Dr. Vibe Show. We're increasing the audience engagement. American Patton says this conversation was golden. Thank you. Well, American, share it out with your people. Share it out. Tell them about the Dr. Vibe Show and the epic conversations, because yes, we are based in Canada, but our conversations are evergreen for Black people and those who love them globally. All right. How we end off. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions. Aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourself grace. And if you're not making money, make history. Try to do both. And as always, make it better. God bless. Peace to you all. Keep the faith and walk good.
Just take a quick moment.
Yeah.
You just introduce yourself. Let Dr. Vibe welcome you into the show. As I told you, Dr. Vibe.
No. I welcome. I'm really good to have you here. I didn't want to you were on a roll. I didn't want to interrupt. You were on a roll, but
in an award created by whites, dominated by whites, run by whites. And you're a billionaire, bro. FYI, I don't. It's probably the first time of the year that I use the word bro.
Yes, it is. That's the first time, as long as I've known you, you used it.
My daughter would laugh.
But for many people, the economy ain't great. Says, there we go. I saw that.